All right, everybody, welcome back to the Crypto Power Hour. I'm your host, Jacob, and we've got a pretty big panel for you today. We are all excited about the ETH merge and have a lot to talk about. I kind of don't want to take up too much time, but I will let everybody kind of go around, introduce themselves, kind of give everybody an insight of who they are, what they kind of do. Andrew, I'm going to start with you, all right?
I guess I'll start it off. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Gordon. I'm an attorney and CPA, but don't worry, I use my powers for good. And I've been working in the crypto space since about 2014. One of our first clients was one of the co-founders of Ethereum, ironically, and we've been active ever since. So that's a little bit about me. Who's next? Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Hi, guys. My name is Cassie. You've probably seen me around the group. I'm a Web3 community builder. I've been in crypto for 2 years, and I am opting for the profession of professional hype man. Joe?
What's up, everybody? It's the main man, Joe Blackburn. I guess you could just say that I've been in the space casually since really 2013, 2014, and then really started taking it seriously around 2016 when ETH was like $3-4. Bought my first Ethereum after being talked out of it for so long at $6, and fortunately was able to build some really strong connections and some friends in the space, and ultimately created a group along with just about everybody on this panel, Crypto Coin Trader in 2017, and here we are. Go ahead, Wayne.
All right. Hey, everybody. Blockchain Wayne here. Started podcasting under that name in 2018, got into crypto in 2016, and became really passionate about education, making this whole ecosystem, the whole technology easier for people to understand. So focused a lot of my efforts on educational content, both individually at events, and then also working with projects, which led me to where I am today. I'm the head of business development at FIO Protocol.
You in the house.
Yep. So, also represent Norox. They're one of our partners as well, but just really focused on education and protocols and processes that are going to make crypto easier for people to use. So that's where my passion lies.
Love it.
All right, and last but not least, Daryl here. I've been in crypto for about 10 years, the old man of the crypto OG in this group. I got into crypto for the tech. I have a full-time job in the tech industry, have a crypto company, been trading, investing, doing everything for about 10 years in crypto now, and really in it for the decentralization, the tech, and the potential to change the future, really.
Jake, before you change that background, I just want everybody to take a look at the 3 Oculus or whatever headsets and the library of every game that's ever been in existence in the background. So,
there's more too. Yeah, yep. These are actually mixed reality devices. So HoloLens 2, HoloLens 1, VR device, various accolades from Xbox and stuff. And computers mining over here. Yeah,
600-inch computer trading monitor in the background too, which is kind of tight.
Beautiful.
Right. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Jealous.
Kick it off, Jake. No, you're good, everybody. Thank you for those introductions. I'm going to throw this out there right now that none of this is financial or legal advice. This also does not create an attorney-client relationship. Anything that is said, that is a disclaimer that I do have to talk about quite often. Now, I'll kind of get into it. So my first kind of question that I want answered is the hard forks and the soft forks with this merge. I'm going to kind of pass it off to Wayne to kind of give us a good explanation, and then everybody else can kind of give their 2 cents.
Yeah. So soft forks are an update to code where the majority moves in the same direction. It doesn't result in a fork off of multiple codes. One of the biggest examples of a hard fork where you saw, kind of a split and a fork off was the Bitcoin Cash. That's the one that a lot of people are familiar with. Now, interestingly enough, there is a talk. It looks like could be in the next 24 hours that a lot of miners may decide to fork off and create a. I think they're going to call it ETHW, proof ETH or ETH POW. But the whole point is where's the community going to put the support? Where are the projects going to put their support? Circle and others, a bunch of others have already come out and said that they're going to continue to support the proof of stake process moving forward. So that's really what it is. There's there's a lot of forks that may happen you're not even aware of, where it's just an update and the whole ecosystem is behind it, and it just continues to alter slightly. But then those contentious hard forks are a lot of the ones that make headlines and people aware of, which, like I said, would be like Bitcoin Cash. What happened with Bitcoin Cash? Anybody want to add anything to that?
No, I think you said it good. Yeah. Hard fork is really when the miners want to go against what the direction of the general company managing the crypto project is going in. So the miners want one thing, the crypto's heading in another, so they hard fork and keep going in the original direction, and they believe in that vision versus what the company wants to change it to be.
Can I ask, is that what we saw with Ethereum Classic originally?
Well, Ethereum Classic, they had a much more tumultuous beginning.
Right.
So I guess it could be considered similar, though.
Sorry. I was just wondering if we saw that same kind of attitude with the miners being like, no, we want to stay over here.
Well,
I guess there'd be less reason to.
I could definitely, in my opinion, first off, you got to remember the nature of what crypto people and the sharks that are going to show up. So there's going to be where there's chances for people to try to make money, they're going to try to go make it. Obviously, as Jake said, it's not financial advice, but you go and you look at the history of even Bitcoin. This reminds me of that Bitcoin concept, because I see a lot of the similar talking points that people want a certain way for ETH to exist. Look, I listened to Blasco, friend of us. I think you guys, everybody here knows him. He's been a massive member of this group. He gave me some thoughts about that, and I know that you guys probably were privy to that as well. But he brought up some really good points about proof of stake versus proof of work. And Wayne, me and you've had conversations about this for years, but I don't see a way in which ETH can be the same. But isn't that a good thing for what we need in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an advocate of both, proof of work and proof of stake. I see use cases for all, whether or not Ether is designed for that. I think we all agree what was happening with ETH and the network congestion, and just and really just the whole narrative that was being pushed around the amount of electricity it took to mine ETH. I think for some adoption to happen, ETH had to do this, but at the same time, I'm also not of the belief that ETH is going to rule all. It's going to be a major part of the ecosystem going forward, but we're going to live in a crypto ecosystem in the future where it's not going to be thousands of chains that are really mainstream, but there's going to be probably a mix of proof of work, proof of stake. I'd say 50 to 100 at least that are mainstream.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Daryl, what would you say is the biggest concern in regards to what we're going to see ETH try to overcome now? Would you say it's more social pressure for instant success, or would you say it's just actually executing, social pressure, and then education, right? Everyone's holding ETH in their wallet and they don't know, is this the new forked ETH? Is this the old ETH? That's true. It's a good point.
A lot of people just don't even know that in the back ends, all of these exchanges, you just automatically have this new ETH. There's nothing you need to do. But then when we go to get a fork, there's going to be a lot of education around when this token forks, or if it does fork, does your old ETH and your balance automatically give you a token amount in this forked chain? And what does that mean for everyone? I don't think a lot of that is known yet.
Why don't you answer what I was going to say? You should tell us everything you know, because I'm learning.
I mean, everything's still up in the air. Wayne kind of touched on it. The next 24, 48 hours, we'll really see. Everyone's going to pitch their ideas for what a fork chain could be, and it's really going to be who comes out with a solid plan in the short amount of time. You have all these miners with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of ASICs, GPUs, and everything. They're not just going to turn it off. They're going to look to continue making profit, whether that's through a fork chain, an altcoin. And really, it's going to be whoever the biggest mover is and whoever has the solid plan will kind of set the precedence for where everyone else is going to follow. But it kind of relies on that first domino effect for what the first big proposition is.
Well, this kind of brings up a point for you, Andrew. I mean, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to ask all these questions, everybody, because I'm learning here too, to an extent. But Andrew, I've known you for a long time. Me and you go way back. I can consider we're like BFFs. We might as well be, right? But in regards to the legalities behind this, and does this make it more of a corporate friend with the new ETH because of all these cool things like now it's cleaner energy, and I don't mean to just say it like on a stamp level where you just got your checkbox checked, but will corporate entities be taking Ethereum more seriously now that this fork, assuming success, happens?
Well, I sure think so. And I think over the years, a lot of the competitors to Ethereum have emerged because of some of the weaknesses in the Ethereum, the congestion, the gas fees, all of those types of issues. And then also, as you guys all had mentioned, electricity, the massive costs of proof of work. And now I think it will be easier for institutional investors perhaps to consider getting in because there are fewer of these concerns. And also, as we look to the future and scalability, hopefully some of these issues will be resolved and Ethereum will continue to dominate in the field. So I sure hope so, but I guess time will tell.
Thank you, guys. I just want to let everybody know that we are currently streaming. We are in the Facebook Ethereum group. We are on the Gordon Law Group YouTube, and we are also on the Gordon Law Group Twitter page. So if anybody is leaving any comments, if you have any questions, I'm going to try to get to them at the end. But you are in the right chat if you are a little confused at where you were at. I also want to kind of pick your guys' brains a little bit. One of the biggest communities that is connected with ETH is the NFT community. I'm just curious, how's the merge going to affect NFTs?
I'm listening on this one.
I mean, I can take this one. I'm a big advocate and fan of NFTs. I did my first podcast on NFTs in 2018, and ironically, it was my worst listened to podcast I ever did. So nobody gave a crap about them then.
Who's laughing now?
Yeah.
Wayne's laughing now.
Try to
tell everybody.
But anyway, so
hold on. Wayne actually made the very first NFT I'd ever even heard of before. I mean, like, I guess technically CryptoKitties was, but Wayne made a meme of me into an NFT, which I still don't have a copy of that, or I guess you can't have a copy. But anyways, that's the OG status Wayne has.
Oh, I've got it. I'll send it to you. Also did an NFT of when David Hoverman got waxed live on in the group. But anyway, that's a story for a different day. NFTs, though, I mean, really, NFTs on ETH have been widely used and adopted so far. And what I'm passionate about NFTs is the utility and use case really evolving. But to see that happen, I don't think the merge itself is enough. It's a step forward. And kind of like we were mentioning, like, gas fees are not going to drop right away. That there's additional things that have to happen for gas fees to drop. But as that happens, then you can really see NFTs really dominate within the ETH space, because right now some people have chosen to bring their projects to like Solana or Avalanche or other platforms like Tezos, to where it is lower cost, lower gas fees. But I think when you talk to people about NFTs, ETH is the dominant chain that comes to mind. So I think the merge is a step forward, but it's not really, I don't think it's really going to change anything just yet for NFTs.
To be fair, I mean, gas prices have gotten pretty cheap. I mean, it cost me like 40 cents to send ETH.
It's because we're in a bear market. Nobody's using the chain.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of people are still using the chain, and to me, it feels like it's less expensive than it was before the bull run in 2019, 2020. It just feels, I mean, it feels cheap. I don't know. Maybe I'm just spoiled because at this point, because it was $200 for me to swap something at once. I don't know.
Right. I minted my first Ethereum POS NFT today, and it was $4.80 in gas.
That's great.
So it wasn't bad.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
Fees haven't changed yet, right? To be clear, the merge has occurred, but fees aren't changing until I think Cassie, you mentioned this before. Until what stage?
It's the sharding, so it's on the calendar for sometime next year.
Yeah.
Got it. So the decrease in gas fees that we're seeing now are just because, as I mentioned, we're in a bear market, and so Joe had asked before too about institutions, corporate players getting in, and we're all hoping that Ethereum goes to $100,000. But if that happens, well, then what happens to gas fees? Presumably, they're going to skyrocket, go through the roof, and then the usability is going to decrease. Well, then we're never going to really hit $100,000. So that's another reason that I think this step towards proof of stake, once we get to sharding, minimizing gas fees, will really hopefully push us into the next levels. But again, not financial advice.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're talking about price in regards to, like, I know you're not, and this is not financial advice, just making sure I say that because I got an attorney on this call. But the overwhelming thought by many people is that ETH was always capped because gas fees would just get too high for it to be usable. That changes that whole dynamic. And for that point alone, it was the right move. And I know that there's some really genuine, authentic, and serious, counters to that, rebuttals to why ETH should have stayed proof of work. But scalability and the trust that people have outside of crypto that may be looking in, Ethereum and Bitcoin are the standards. There's nothing that even comes close to the trust that you could have in Ethereum. And it's going to be a long time until that changes.
Out of curiosity, would someone like to explain each of those different types of steps, like sharding, like you kind of mentioned? Kind of the next other things that are coming after.
I haven't been looking forward enough to actually have an answer to the timeline. Cassie, I don't know if you want to touch base on it, but I'm on the train of wait and see. I'm just waiting and watching this. I'm not going to pretend like I understand the technicals of it, but what I do understand is that it looks really bullish for the long haul as far as the adoption with this. And that's, to me, that's the most important part.
I may have something. I've never used this platform we're on right now, so I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm trying to see if I could like share screen. So I have this nifty diagram that someone made, and it's amazing, and I love it.
If you share, Jake can just click it.
Did it work?
Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the merge, right? This is where we're at. Then we have the surge, the verge, the purge, and the splurge.
Who made this doc?
I'm not sure who made the document, but Vitalik is the one to these are his. He named
them.
But before the merge, there was the bulge, right? Oh wait,
well said. Well said.
Very good.
Andrew over
there. But yeah, so and from what I was reading, this is scheduled for like next year, right? So we're looking at 2023, assuming there aren't too many delays. I'm kind of curious, and this is actually, it may even be a different call, but I would love to talk to you guys. There's a lot of experience on this call. I've dug into a lot of this, and it's a lot still to like wrap my head around. And everyone here has years of experience, and there's so much history there. And I would really love to ask you guys some questions as far as, Ethereum 2, who knows how long it's going to take to get to the splurge? So what's the likelihood that we're going to have other, so Cosmos, for example, is deploying there's some really great stuff going on there. And so I'm just curious as to your opinions on what's going to happen with layer 2s if all does go well with Ethereum, right? Are they all going to be obsolete? Or do we think that the world is going to wait for Ethereum 2.0 to come out? I mean, I think it was Joe, I think you mentioned earlier, or maybe it was Wayne, the future, there's going to be a lot of blockchains. So I'm just curious as to you guys' opinions on how that'll
before the smart people start talking. The opinion that I share with this is that this is true and very pure capitalism. And I don't mean that in some political sense. I mean, as in the best will survive. If there's a competitor that can be adopted, that can integrate what's already been created. The biggest thing that ETH has going for it is how many projects are built on it, right? So because of that, there are a lot of things. I'll just use 88 Cardano as an example here. Cardano has done a really good job getting the adoption of different projects to take them seriously and build on Cardano. I'm not a big fan of Cardano. I don't hate Cardano. If they figure this thing out, good for them. we need a bunch of different chains. It'll help with gas fees, right? However, Ethereum, to me, there's just not a comparison that makes sense. And it's because it's one central location that everybody knows works. I'll let the smart people go from there.
I mean, ETH was always designed for smart contracts and other tokens to be launched on top of it. They would be shooting themselves in their own foot if they were trying to just make everyone obsolete. Layer 2s will always exist on the ETH chain and other chains, whether it's for reducing fees or bigger transactions faster, whatever. ETH is always going to keep developers in mind and make sure that other projects can be successful on top of their chain.
Well said.
Well said.
Wayne?
I mean, I agree with everything Daryl said. I mean, it's to that point. You know, we've got a long way to go, and if there's something that ETH does do that would maybe make one particular layer 2 not as relevant on ETH, I mean, that a lot of them are already exploring ways. I mean, they're poised to pivot. You know, but you know, we've got a scalability issue. We've got to bring in billions of users. So it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna be solved overnight. I don't think any chains are gonna be obsolete overnight.
So. You know, I bet there was a lot of projects holding their breath, though. I mean, not just Ethereum, but everybody on Ethereum was probably, you know, held the breath for a minute or two during that swap over. But what I am most genuinely interested in is, you know, we hear things about how Facebook is going to, you know, be working within the Ethereum concept or working on Ethereum at some point. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that. I've seen it several times, but it looks like that's pretty much decided at this point that they'll be operating with Ethereum. You got Twitter, you got a whole bunch of different entities that everybody's using every single day, seeing Ethereum as a branded concept. To me, the future has never been brighter for Ethereum. That's not necessarily a comment of obviously on price, but on the success of, you know, somebody's like, you know, trade. Obviously that's irrelevant to this part of the conversation. But as far as the usability, the whole internet is going to be run on Ethereum at some point, and I'll stand by that. And you can't prove me wrong. Duh.
I appreciate you so much, Joe.
I'm ready to fight.
Let's go.
Andrew's got my back. He's a CPA and an attorney. Think about that.
I don't trust either. Well, just kidding.
And a true gamer.
Well, I was on there. I'm sure people have questions about the. Are there any kind of tax implications to anything that's happened, or could potentially happen, even with if every holder of ETH gets ETHW, if they fork off, if you know the miners fork off into a proof of work chain, what are the implications of that?
Yeah, great question, and you know, triggers my favorite topic, tax. So it seems that there's a high likelihood that there's going to be a hard fork. And just taking a step back, we talked at the beginning about soft forks and hard forks. Soft fork being where the token essentially continues under a new name or under a new structure, but the old token basically concludes, and that's the end of it. And so you had one token to start, got one token now, perhaps something different. That's a soft fork. And Ethereum right now is going through the Ethereum to Ethereum 2 process that we expect to be essentially a soft fork. But at the same time, there are now these other parties emerging that are saying, well, we should perhaps stay with proof of work, and we're going to create a fork of the Ethereum chain for proof of work. And in the past, what generally happens is the prior holders of the original Ethereum token will receive a airdrop of or fork of the new token as well. And so you'll have the original token you had before, and then you'll have a new token as well. And we're expecting that, it sounds like, Daryl, you were saying maybe in the next 24, 48 hours that this may even occur. And there's no guarantees, but I think many of us on this call think that there's a high likelihood that this is going to happen, and that people that are holding their Ethereum on a self-custodied wallet or an exchange that supports these new forks will have new tokens, which is great. You know, you have something new of value, but there's some really important things to be aware of. From a tax perspective, hard forks and airdrops are one of the few things that the IRS has actually issued guidance on, specific crypto guidance on. And with airdrops and hard forks, they've said, that if you have a new token, you have income. And that income is the fair market value as soon as you have dominion and control. So if you have a self-custody wallet and in 24 hours another token drops into your wallet, then you have income at whatever the trading price is at that moment. And with a lot of these forks, the price is quite high that it trades at, or airdrops trades at quite high to begin. And so if you're in the US, from a US tax perspective, you're going to have taxable income. And this is one of those things that the IRS is likely going to watch carefully. In 2017, 2018, I think it was, with the Bitcoin Cash fork, the IRS has been very in tune to that, and they audit clients very often looking for that fork to be reported. So you're likely to have taxable income at whatever that value is as soon as that fork occurs, as long as you have dominion and control, as long as you can transfer it out. If you're you're holding your Ethereum on an exchange like Coinbase, Coinbase has said that they're going to evaluate the different hard forks, and they may have future compatibility. And so in the future, if they flip the switch and you then have ETHW in your Coinbase wallet, you're going to have income then too. And what that means is you're going to be taxed, everyone's favorite three-letter word. And the tax rate on forks is your ordinary income tax rate. For most people, that's around 30 to 35%, which if you think about it, that's pretty massive, that you're going to owe a tax as soon as that fork occurs, not when you sell it. Again, this is one of those few things that the IRS has actually issued guidance on. So it's not when you sell it, it's as soon as you receive it. So just from a tax planning standpoint, some advice that we often give our clients is you might want to sell a certain portion of it right away just to cover your taxes, because you're going to owe that tax no matter what. Even if the price of that forked Ethereum drops massively in the next few weeks, you still owe the tax as of the fair market value as soon as you receive it.
Yeah, that is so good to know. I was actually going to ask you that because, yeah, that's a not a nice surprise. So I'll be watching my wallets, and if I get the forked Ethereum, then I will be dumping it.
Well, I guess the common topic today has been, it's not financial advice. So, you got to make your own decision as to whether or not you want to hold it or dump it. But the one thing that is certain is that you're going to have a tax. And so you might want to at least sell enough to cover your taxes, because you're going to owe that either way. And you're not going to want to be in a situation where prices dropped, then you owe more in taxes than it's even worth, which has happened. ENS, a lot of people got the ENS airdrop. That was worth quite a bit at the time of that airdrop, worth a lot less now. So just things to consider.
Yeah, adding to that too, taxes is always complicated. You never want the IRS on your ass. Andrew's firm is really incredible to work with. I don't just say this because he's a good friend and he's on this live stream. It's best to get ahead with your taxes than get behind. You don't want to be receiving notices from the IRS and be getting deadlines that are 30, 45 days out, and then be scrambling to be addressing these. And you're paying extra because you got to have attorneys be, sending out extension notices to the IRS and be doing 4-hour phone calls directly to them. It's best to get ahead of these and engage with an attorney or CPA that's knowledgeable in the space.
Yeah, I was going to actually, you stole my thunder, Daryl. I tried to plug Andrew like 3 times, but this is a true story. Andrew and I first met. I actually knew Andrew before I knew anybody on this call, which is crazy. And I was joking when I said like we're practically BFFs, but in crypto space, like, time that you've known somebody and how long that they stick around, that's a good indicator on their moral character and their compass. Again, I've known Andrew for 4 or 5 years now, and one of the resounding and common characteristics that he has shown me over and over is that he's the best effing person to know before shit hits the fan. Excuse my language. I should probably not be saying that word. My bad, Andrew. But go and check out everything. If you have any questions at all, his tax group is completely the only spot you need to ever go to make sure that you get the information you need and you don't get screwed over. And I'll say that, I'll stand by that every day of the year, for every year. You've been good to me, Andrew.
Joe, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, especially coming from you. I mean, you are an OG in crypto and one of the most respected people in the industry. So Man, I appreciate it. I'm humbled by it.
Hey, it's not a compliment. It's just the truth, man.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Enough of the love fest, right? Enough of the Andrew love fest.
No. That's good. That's good. I just wanted to plug, only because we got about like 15-ish minutes left. Is there anything else that you want to touch on before we kind of dive into some comments?
So I'll say while we're on the fork topic of potential, if there's an ETH proof of work fork that happens, the risk of that in terms of if someone, obviously if you're holding ETH, you would get the proof of work coin as well. But what about all the tokens and NFTs that are built on ETH? Daryl, do you know? I mean, wouldn't all of those be replicated as well?
Yeah, that's something that's up to the foundation that starts these new forks, right? I'm guessing they won't touch all of the NFTs and stuff. It'll just be the native token. But yeah, someone's going to come along and probably pitch, replicating all the NFTs, right-click, save your JPEG, and we'll launch it on our chain. And it will really be part of whoever's pitch to try to get you to join their hard fork. But
So
I don't see
it could get pretty dicey, and there could be some issues there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would really complicate things.
All right, everybody. I'll go through some of the comments that are on here. Someone said, depending on what block number they choose to fork on. I'm guessing that's the reference what you guys were just talking about. It would be complicated. This is a great one for Joe.
That's what's up. I like it. Who was that?
Andrew Alyssa.
Oh, yeah. What up, AA?
Crypto needs to solve scaling and usability.
Oh,
Duh.
I agree.
That's what they're doing.
Our work. Yeah.
Everything does.
I'm not trying to be a smartass, though.
No, I mean,
Great
usability is a big thing I've been focused on, which is why I joined up with FIO. But those are two main issues: scaling and usability. You think about the internet and the rise of adoption of the internet. It started with usability layers that made it easier for people to use to use the internet. And we need the same thing for crypto.
Ethereum isn't one size fits all.
Agreed.
I agree.
There's a lot of links as well. If anybody's sharing any links, I can't pull those up, unfortunately. If you're going to talk about Cosmos, you should talk about Polkadot as well.
I'm making my rounds right now because I'm doing like my DCA thing, right? So I'm like, ooh, what do I want to? I'm putting stuff on my shopping list, and Polkadot is on. It's one of the upcoming chains I'll be looking at.
I like Polkadot.
I mean, obviously we're talking about ETH because of the merge, but there's no reason why we couldn't do these in the future and talk about other ecosystems, other potential. Sure. I mean, there's a lot out there that I love as well, outside of just ETH, but obviously that it's dominating the news cycle and the event, with the merge that just happened.
Wayne, I got a question for you on that. What is it about the other projects that to you set them apart from ETH? What interests you about those other projects more so than ETH?
So I'll tell you one I've been a big fan of for a while is Tezos, actually. Just the way, obviously Tezos launched in the proof of stake, the self-amending ledger they run concurrent with a test net to avoid all these contentious hard forks and everything. And just kind of like some of the issues we talked about that could happen if the community is split and you have a contentious hard fork. What happens to all of that? Especially think about all the DeFi protocols that are built on that, and all of a sudden it gets messy pretty fast. So that's one example. But there's other, like, and everything has it, it depends on their usability and what they're designed for. Because I don't think I don't think one chain can do it all. To some of the point of some of the comments here, there's certain chains that are going to be needed for different things.
Yeah, Tezos is a good one where this lady and her husband literally started Tezos, and she's super approachable. We might even be able to get her on a live someday. But two people that just wanted to go out and create a project that was more usable, more user friendly, better community, and really tackle some of the development challenges. And here they started as just like a fun project, and they're like a multi-billion-dollar market cap now. Just super awesome, like underdog story there.
So I think it would be great to, and I was actually thinking about doing this on YouTube or streaming. One of the things that I've noticed, especially if you're involved heavily in like the online crypto spaces, there's a lot of bias that kind of transfers. So for example, Tessos, I looked at Tessos probably 6 months ago, and I'll admit I didn't look too far into it. Everything I saw I liked, but I get distracted really easily. One of the things I noticed, though, when I would talk to people who did not like Tessos, a lot of their complaints had to do with the founder, and it was about the marketing. And I've noticed kind of the same thing with Cardano. I mean, even
Win
for
Moon.
me, Charles rubs me the wrong way sometimes. You know, he says stuff and I'm like, gosh, just stop talking. Like, you're making me bias against it. And there is an existing bias for a lot of projects, especially ADA. And that's like one of those things, I think, especially when people are new, it's easy to just like trash ADA, you know, and like suddenly you're a part of the group and you know as much as everybody else. So I think it would be neat to kind of do like a series and talk about what's going on in these different coins, because the thing about crypto is we're going to continue to evolve, and these chains can always get better. And it would be a shame to miss out on something incredible just because, you know, you have this unsupported belief because of what so and so said. Because in 10 years, none of that's going to matter. The people investing in 10 years, they're not going to know any of that.
Yeah, but you know, one of the and I agree with your points, by the way, Cassie. I don't disagree with you, but I try to stick with the mantra that I don't want to look at or even talk about a project based off of why people are mad that the price hasn't gone up, because that is not a testament to the work that's being done underneath. And you know, not that Charles has helped himself with Cardano, but you know, I feel like Cardano has done their best to build a ecosystem capable, and people forget that the scalability is unwritten. Like, you don't know what Web3 or crypto or blockchain is going to look like in 10 years. So they're literally writing this script trying to, you know, develop something that doesn't exist yet. And that type of invention mindset, that concept that you're writing the future and even the limitations of the future, potentially, it's going to continue to always scale out where maybe I shouldn't launch this yet. I need to wait for this. It becomes a problem. Now, to that point, you know, I look at someone like there's several of the power coins, quote unquote, that have been in existence since, you know, 2015, maybe some even before that. I don't know exactly when Litecoin was minted, but let's just call it 2013-ish, 2014. XRP was, I think they started in 2013. You know, there's these projects that built, and look how limited they are today. Yes, there are scaling options like with Bitcoin, specifically with Lightning Network, right? But Litecoin was built to kind of be that silver to Bitcoin's gold and then move faster. But now Litecoin's almost been made irrelevant. And I just use that example to say in the future, we're going to see that a lot about like what these projects, if they don't start scaling up, but where do they stop at? I'm very careful about giving somebody a hard time because they haven't launched their product, because there's probably purpose and reason for that, unless there's not. And that's when, you know, Andrew Gordon can go and dive into that, and everybody here, and you too, Jake.
Yeah, most of my best investments are usually when the project has the solid tech and the community is complaining about no marketing. They're like, this tech is so awesome.
Exactly.
You know, everyone needs to know about this, and there's just no marketing. Versus you see other projects where they're just marketing the crap out of it before they even build like a working product that actually makes sense and addresses a problem.
The Justin Sun effect.
Really on those products where the tech is solid and they're focusing on that, you know, Aurochs and some of these other that I'm mining. You know, they really focus on building that solid tech and making sure it's scalable before they ever worry about, you know, getting more users on board, marketing it, you know, market cap, all that. They don't care about that. They want to build out that tech first.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's good. And actually, so I was really heavy into DeFi initially when I first got into crypto, and there were a few projects that I fell in love with, and the tech was like beautiful interfaces, very valid use cases, but they literally had no marketing budget. And I've seen projects die just because of that. They don't have the connections, they don't have the money, they can't market it. And so I think it would be extremely helpful to be able to kind of I was actually working on one, but I was trying to put together kind of a criteria, because there are several things that I look at when I look at a project and try to determine, like, is this viable? but we have a lot of maxis. I'm at like a Bitcoin, like, oh my gosh, what was it? It was like we'll come back to that. I met a Litecoin maxi. And I can't imagine being a Litecoin maxi, but I kind of want to ask him why. Like, so why are you a Litecoin maxi? And is it just an image thing? Is it like, or is there maybe something there? Now, I'm not trying to be dismissive, but it's just nice to kind of be able to see things from other people's perspectives and then pull the information apart objectively and look at the big picture.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope fundamentally they are driven by the same principles when analyzing a token that we are as well. You would hope, right? And so I'm with you. I don't know how someone could be a Litecoin maxi, but perhaps they have a certain perspective.
A really heavy bag.
Yeah, that's right. And is that the driving force, right? Is it 100%. Because of their own financial motivations that they're promoting that token? And unfortunately, sometimes we see a lot of that in the crypto industry. That's
human nature too.
You're absolutely right, and it's just the world. And so once you understand that, and it's just part of the analysis, I think it adds some transparency as well. So I think, Cassie, your idea is great. That there should be certain principles or ways to look at certain tokens and analyzing them. And I think it would be a very interesting topic for conversation of going through different tokens and looking at their leadership, their technology, and all the different inputs.
Thank you. I'll continue working on that.
Yeah, I have a off topic. I don't know if I can wait, Jake. I don't want to interrupt the flow here, but I've got a couple questions for Andrew. That since it's so hard to call him at times, just because the dude's super busy. So I got you now, Andrew. Hopefully you won't just leave after I ask a couple questions, but let me know before we're ready to close this off, because I got some juice.
Yeah, no, go for it. This is all
right. Okay, so I literally have a real question, as if like you're the expert. I'm just Joe Schmo here. I look at the SEC and what their involvement is. I know that there's another branch that's going to be focusing on, but specifically with XRP was ripped off all American exchanges and additionals, maybe in Europe or whatnot. But specifically here with Coinbase, I mean, it seems like a pretty big deal and a problem that the SEC really did not need as far as their credibility within the space. And now I know that they're in another battle that is maybe similar to XRP. I can't remember which project was. Pretty well-known project. I saw it, a while back, but specifically with XRP, it looks like XRP's now kind of been proven that whether they did or did not do something wrong. I'm not the judge of that, but what they have kind of shown to be is like, hey, you're the one who's wrong, SEC. Whatever you tried to charge us with was the wrong thing to try to charge us with, and now they're going to go on the attack. Do you feel like this is going to be a really bullish move for all of crypto and allow the U.S. I guess innovation concepts to really start putting their fingers into the sand and turning it into gold? I mean, it feels that way to me, at least.
Yeah. So the SEC going after Ripple is not the first token project nor the last that the SEC has gone after. For years, the SEC has gone after projects, but essentially all of them have settled with the SEC or FTC when they've gone after different projects as well. So they've mainly settled, and that's because the big bad wolf, the SEC, they have essentially unlimited resources, and it's very difficult to overcome that. But Ripple, on the other hand, said, you know what? We're not going to just take this. We're going to go to court on this. And so they've been challenging the SEC, and right now it's in a discovery phase where they're exchanging information. And Ripple's had some victories in the court case. Most recently, there was a dispute on whether or not Ripple would get access to some of the information the SEC had internally on how they decided that Bitcoin and Ethereum were not a security. So one of the SEC,
Interesting.
Their chairman was at a conference several years ago. I think it was Gensler. Was at a conference several years ago and said, "Yep, Bitcoin, Ethereum, not security." Ironically, his speech was reviewed by the SEC's attorneys. So, what were their thought process in deciding that those were not, yet somehow Ripple is. And that's been the core issue. We've been relying on the Howey test, which was a test determined decades ago to decide if a crypto token is a security or not. And the hope, crossing our fingers, is that the Ripple case will hopefully have a new ruling, a new definition, or at least some new clarity as to what makes the token a security or not. But, Joe, you mentioned the Ripple was basically pulled off all of these exchanges. They had as a very negative effect, almost found guilty before trial. And but I think the tide's starting to turn, and that we're seeing that this is not a clear-cut case. And the SEC themselves have been less than forthcoming on what exactly makes something a security versus not.
Yep, I completely agree. Now, while you're still here, I remember this is multi-part. So with that being said, what is your sentiment on how this what is the results in your foresight as far as do you believe that XRP is probably going to come out? I don't want to say victorious here because I don't know what's a win and what's not. But is it going to come out on the right side of this decision?
So that's a tough one because honestly, and looking at Ripple, there are some elements that certainly make it seem more like a security. I think we can look at Bitcoin, which no one knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. There's no one that we can point to as having a benefit from all this. And then Ethereum, which really all you have is the foundation, but there's not a for-profit entity. But Ripple, there is.
There's a
right?
business.
Right. There's a
That's
business.
a good point. That's a great point. And they sold a bunch of Ripple or XRP tokens.
A lot.
Yeah. A lot.
So I think there are some clear differences. Yet at the same time, they have a war chest to fight over this. But then going back to one of the other points I made, the SEC, the government has essentially unlimited resources. And the Howey test, the test that we rely on today, came from a Supreme Court ruling. How do you get to the Supreme Court? Well, you've got to go through the district court, appeals, and then Supreme Court. The Supreme Court can jump in and pull a case, but I doubt that they're going to do that here. So we're potentially years away. And that's because even if the SEC loses at the trial court level, they're going to appeal because that's what the government does. So
should we all be rooting for XRP as crypto enthusiasts here?
Well, I think what we should be rooting for is a ruling. Whether or not XRP in itself is a security or not, that's a tough one. Again, the for-profit elements of it, I don't know. But I think a ruling where we have guidelines, we have guidance, what makes a crypto token a security or not just the Howey test, but something that's modern, based on crypto. I think that would be immensely helpful for the industry, and that will take us to the moon.
Well said. And I agree with you. And I was asking some questions in response to you, really, just to kind of further the conversation. But I know that we're coming up on time, so I'll shut up here. So from here on out, it's all you.
All right, you guys. Don't want to hard stop you here, but I know that some of us do have to go. I want to thank everybody for coming out and doing this, giving us your time. Everybody in the comments, if you could comment if you want to see more of these streams, what kind of topics you want us to talk about, that would be great. I really want to see a lot of love coming from the Ethereum group, especially. Again, everybody.
Let's go.
Right. Again, everyone, I just want to thank you and tune in next week, same time, Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time for the Crypto Power Hour.
Yeah, right, Andrew Gordon said, hold on. Andrew Gordon said he's going to put a tattoo of Ethereum on his neck if we get 1,000 likes. No, I'm joking.
Hey, that'd be funny.
Yeah. Jake, good job hosting, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody.